watching Oregon's News at 10 on Oregon's Fox.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Oregon's News at 10. I'm Kristen Goodwillie. First tonight, a Pennsylvania grand jury investigation accuses hundreds of Roman Catholic priests of abusing more than 1,000 children over a 70-year period. Prosecutors say that's not counting victims who never came forward. The grand jury also found evidence of a cover-up by church officials. Nikki Batiste reports from Harrisburg.
A grand jury has found evidence of widespread child sexual abuse by Catholic priests in Pennsylvania. Its report also accuses church officials of engaging in a systematic cover-up.
Church officials routinely and purposefully described the abuse as horseplay and wrestling and inappropriate contact. It was none of those things. It was child sexual abuse.
Grand jurors examined 6 of the state's 8 dioceses and identified 301 priests as predators.
Those priests acted as wolves among us, even if they were dressed in sheep's clothing. I am sorry for that.
The grand jury's nearly 900-page report was compiled over the course of an 18-month investigation. While it's full of damning details and information, it's unlikely to result in justice for most of the victims. Nearly all of the alleged crimes occurred decades ago. Because of the statute of limitations, all but 2 cases are too old to be prosecuted.
No one should be out of reach of the law just because they happen to live a particularly long time. If you raped a child, you should be held accountable in a court of law.
The report prompted expressions of support from churchgoers.
I just hope there's justice for all the victims.
Washington, D.C. Cardinal Donald Worrell was the bishop of Pittsburgh for 18 years. In a statement, he denied shielding abusive priests in the diocese.
The grand jury called on Pennsylvania's state legislature to stop shielding child sexual predators by amending its statute of limitations. President Trump is fighting back against allegations of racism made by former White House advisor Omarosa Manigault-Newman. In her new book, Unhinged, Omarosa writes that the Trump campaign was aware of the existence of a tape where Mr. Trump allegedly used the N-word while taping The Apprentice. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders denied the allegations and criticized the secret taping of private conversations.
This has absolutely nothing to do with race and everything to do with the president calling out someone's lack of integrity.
The Trump campaign filed an arbitration action claiming Omarosa broke her 2016 confidentiality agreement. In a series of tweets Tuesday, the president referred to his former aide as a crazed, crying lowlife and a dog. And it's time now for a first look at that forecast. Let's hand it over to meteorologist Travis Knutson to see what's ahead. Travis?
Well, we've had a lot of haze around the region today, more so than we picked up the last couple of days, and it's probably going to only get worse as we work our way into Wednesday. But things have improved a little bit for parts of the area. One good way to look at how much smoke is out there is you look at the visibility. If you have high visibility, about 10 miles, there's not too much surface level smoke overhead. Corvallis, Eugene, Roseburg not seeing too much, but Portland only seeing 6 miles of visibility. Medford 2.5. On the coast, things are limited there, but that's not necessarily because of smoke. That's just some good old-fashioned fog pushing in off the Pacific Ocean. Headlines for what's to come. The smoky skies persist tomorrow. Our air quality has been reduced today, will continue to be pretty poor tomorrow, but we may see a nice fortunate wind shift by the time we get to the weekend, which will help clear things out at least temporarily. Low temperatures tonight in the mid to upper 50s, low 60s tomorrow. Not quite as warm as where we were today, but air quality will certainly suffer. I'll tell you where it will be worse in my forecast coming up in just a bit. Kristen?
Thanks, Travis. Ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft are returning to the city of Roseburg after the city council approved an ordinance to allow the operations. Gabby Urenda went to find out about the rules and regulations the drivers will have to follow.
Cars with Uber or Lyft stickers on them will soon be seen on the streets of Roseburg. That's because the Roseburg City Council has approved an ordinance allowing ride-sharing companies to operate in the city.
A good thing for the community, you know, because it's growing and there's many places that people can't take a bus from.
But drivers of those cars will have to follow some rules first.
We still are requiring our same background checks, which we do for all of our business registrations and everything. That hasn't changed.
Uber runs its own background checks on drivers, but the city is also making sure drivers have a safety inspection of their vehicle.
Our council really felt that the safety of the passengers and of our citizens was very important, and so they wanted to make sure and include that.
Some residents are excited the city and the ride-sharing companies made a deal because it could attract more people to the area.
People feel like they're not going to a small town and missing all of the amenities they have in a big city. It's kind of nice.
Right now, the Uber app doesn't show any rides available. That's because people have to wait up to 30 days for the ordinance to go into effect. Reporting in Roseburg, I'm Gabby Arenda.
Every year, apple farmers take a loss on some of their produce. Either the apples have a fungal disease like scab or just aren't pretty enough to get sold. Instead of letting those ugly, undesirable apples go to waste, there's been a boom of apples being used to make hard cider. When Brian Moore went back to his parents' farm, Moore, he saw the amount of apples that couldn't be sold. Brian decided to use his degree in fermentation science at his family's apple orchard.
We're utilizing everything that we can grow and seeing how it goes, and yeah, so we're really kind of expanding the horizons of the products that we can already grow and what we can do with them.
Brian and his wife Leah created their cider business, Even Fall, and say it's a great way to use unmarketable produce. They started out making 3 barrels of cider and have now expanded that to 20 barrels. Brian isn't the only farmer planting cider orchards. He says 3 other cider orchards in the area will come into production in the next couple of years. Now, following China's ban on many recyclable products, the way we store our plastics has changed. But don't worry, Lane County Waste Management says thinking about your plastics before you throw it into the recycling bin will help you. First thing to know, not all plastics are the same. Each one is a different size, shape, and color. So the thing to remember is that each piece of plastic needs to be separated before being sent to recycling. Keeping this in mind allows those recycling the products to keep to schedule.
Recent reports, last time I chatted with one of the sorting facilities, they were saying, well, we are able to move our market, our stuff. It is slow and it's iffy month by month, week by week, but it is moving.
If you're unsure what to do, go to our website. There we have a link to Lane County's Garbage Guru, where you can check for yourself. If all else fails, just throw it out. Coming up on Oregon's News at 10, she's the first woman in the Oregon Air National Guard to become a general officer. How she credits men in part for her success after weather with Travis Knutson.
The smoke and the haze much more prominent today than we had to deal with a lot over the last couple of days. More smoke and haze to come for the rest of the week. You can see here, looking at our time lapse from earlier today, it's only a 4-hour time lapse. Watch the hills out here in the distance. You can really see the smoke and the haze impeding the view, and tomorrow probably even worse than what we dealt with today. As a result, air quality will take quite a bit of a hit. Right now, Corvallis is seeing some unhealthy for sensitive groups, essentially meaning those who have things like asthma, or the young or the old might feel that smoke in the air a little bit more. Moderate for everybody else. Just limit your time outdoors as much as you can. And no marathons or anything like that over the next couple of days with our air quality pretty poor. Here's a high-resolution satellite picture taken earlier today where we have some fires burning along the Columbia River Gorge. That's bringing smoke into the Portland area, fires down to the south, pushing in from the south, and it's sort of meeting in the middle, and that's why we are starting to see our air quality be reduced. This continues tomorrow, and so more smoke and haze is expected. Now here's where temperatures are at right now outside. In the upper 60s for the Willamette Valley. Still pretty warm down in Roseburg. 77 degrees, around 60 degrees on the coast. We'll cool down a few more degrees, making it to the low 60s for many spots, upper 50s for others. And then tomorrow we'll warm up once again, staying very dry. We have this high pressure center out across the coast, and it's bringing in warm, dry air. It's also forcing the jet stream way up to the north. And this is where all the rain is in the atmosphere. It follows the jet stream. So with the jet stream pointed to the north, we will not be picking up any rain anytime soon. The forecast does stay very, very dry. You can see in our model forecast here, tomorrow morning, this is early on at 5 o'clock. We'll see some clouds to begin on the coast, which is what we've seen for the last few days. That does clear on out, but out here on the other side of the mountains, seeing some showers and thunderstorms develop for central Oregon. The rain could be good, but the lightning threat from tomorrow's thunderstorms, not good whatsoever, because while we're dry on the western side of the Cascades, on the other side of the mountains, it's even worse. Now, as far as temperatures go for the coast, dealing with some 60s for many spots, 64 degrees in Yachats, Waldport at about 63. The south coast, cloudy in the morning, mid-60s for those afternoon highs up and down the Oregon coast. 7-day forecast here. We'll see some sunshine each and every afternoon, but the mornings do start out a little bit gray. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The morning clouds might burn off a little bit sooner. The Umpqua Valley dealing with some sunshine tomorrow. Not as hot as where we were today. Upper 80s, lower 90s for the Umpqua Valley. 7-day forecast, the haze stays with us. I do think we'll see a bit of a wind shift getting into Friday and the weekend, which will help blow some of the smoke away, but we'll still have to contend with some haze overhead basically for the next 7 days. Some of those thunderstorms possible in the mountains eastward. Central Oregon will have to deal with the afternoon storms tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see rain and no lightning, but I have a feeling it might be the other way around. The Willamette Valley, smoky, hazy air quality, not as good as we'd like it to be tomorrow, probably in the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups range. 7-day forecast here for the Eugene-Springfield area. Haze may begin clearing out Friday into the weekend if we see the wind shift just right, which isn't a guarantee at this point, but for the short term, the haze is guaranteed to stick around. We'll be right back.
A historic moment for Oregon took place last week at the Portland Air National Guard Base. The first woman to accept the rank of Brigadier General for the Air National Guard was sworn in. Her promotion means she'll command and ensure the readiness of both of Oregon's bases, and in addition to her other job at the Port of Portland.
When you see Donna Prigmore in work clothes Monday through Friday, she's likely managing terminal operations and customer relations at the Port of Portland. But when she changes for her other job, this is what she manages. The Air National Guard Base both in Portland and Klamath Falls. And she has a new title, Brigadier General of the Oregon Air National Guard, the first female to hold that office in Oregon.
Less than 1% of officers actually end up by serving at the general officer level. And so it is a big deal, to be sure, and one that, is quite humbling, and one that makes me very grateful to be able to serve at this level.
She joined the Air Force at 19 years old and has served ever since.
The ability to do this job in terms of the military is dependent on the strong partnership between the Port of Portland and the Oregon Air National Guard.
She credits her success in part from watching people in leadership roles in front of her.
Ironically, my mentors have all been men. Probably because there's more men than there are women in the service, and that's okay. I mean, the numbers are getting better.
She also worked hard and had a willingness not to quit in the midst of handling a full plate, something many women can relate to.
Because there were times in my journey that there was a Y in the road, and I wasn't sure if I could balance being a wife and a mother and a friend and an employee for the Port of Portland and an officer in the Oregon Air National Guard and a commander in the Oregon Air National Guard. And there are times when it's hard.
But she continued to do something a mentor once taught her: strive for perfection, settle for excellence. And that's what she hopes to teach the women coming up in the ranks behind her.
I feel like there's just more attention on me now, in a good way, not in a bad way. And I feel like I want to succeed to even greater heights for them. I want them to know that they can do this too, and I want to represent them well.
Next on Oregon's News, how one organization is giving international students the tools they need to make an impact on their communities. More than 24 exchange students with disabilities from around the world are in Eugene this week. It's a program hosted by Mobility International USA. As Stephanie Rothman reports, the visit is a way to showcase Eugene's inclusiveness and accessibility.
We came here and we used the machines for exercise. I got to use the bike, and it was very fun.
28 exchange students with disabilities from around the world traveled to Eugene to learn from Mobility International USA that there are many ways to live life to the fullest. Having a disability doesn't stop them from doing whatever they want to do.
So we want to bring them here to get a vision of what you could take home and make the changes in your community so that people with disabilities have the rights and get to contribute to their communities like everybody else.
Exercising and doing activities, the Eugene YMCA gives students who are only in the U.S. for 1 year the ability to feel empowered no matter their disability. Students do activities like these to feel empowered and in control of their disability. It shows them that their disability does not limit them and that they have every right to be healthy and fit.
People from other countries who come here say, oh my gosh, I can go on any bus, no one's staring at me. I can go into schools, I can go into stores. That may be true around the U.S., but Eugene has always been really ahead of the curve in terms of proactive inclusion and proactive accessibility.
Students see that places like the YMCA aren't a special place, but a place where everyone can go.
No matter what, if you're blind or you're deaf or you use a wheelchair, and we can all help each other. Even though like the blind people couldn't see, I helped them and showed them how we could all exercise. That's state of Minnesota, where it's very cold.
I got that one. Students like Luriba will take the tools she learned here to Minnesota for the year and then hopefully back home to Ghana. Reporting from Eugene, I'm Stephanie Rothman.
Finally tonight, some people like to celebrate their birthdays in mystical spots like Paris, New York, or Prague. But for others, a fast food meal from a franchise will do just fine. At least that's the case for 101-year-old Ruth Parker, who's chosen to celebrate her big day, turning 101 amongst her best amigos and tacos. She says she started coming to the Carbondale Taco Bell on a rainy day right after moving to town, looking for a place to read her paper and drink her coffee. She's been going there for 18 years, and she's pretty sure she's had everything on the menu.
She must have good genetics, because I'm going to say going 101 strong and eating Taco Bell that often, that's pretty impressive. And a good way to spend it. You got to go Crunchwrap Supreme. You've got to go Crunchwrap Supreme. Yes?
If I was
No
going
argument?
to spend my birthday at a franchise, 100% Taco Bell.
Yeah, there's no
Always.
question. That is the one. That
Always.
is absolutely my cheap fast food meal.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, 30 Minutes of Sports is coming up with Travis Teig.
It's true.
Have a good night.